Today's podcast sponsor is Huber Engineered Woods, and I want to talk to you about zip sheathing and why we use zip sheathing. I know you've heard me talk about it on the podcast before, but I thought let's just lay it out in the simplest of forms. Number one, when I install it properly, I tape the seams, I liquid flash the seams, I manage for water with my windows. I use their products. I don't have to worry about water. There are times when we install drywall inside of a house and we don't have cladding on the outside because I know zip system is going to be waterproof. So that's number one. Number two, I can manage for air. So using zip system sheathing on the walls, my last 5 houses we built were all below passive house levels of air leakage. They were all below that 0.6 ACH50. And we're not putting that much effort into air sealing. We're just making sure that we tape well, which we manage for water, we manage for air. And the last 5 houses that I've built all had Zip R, because that continuous insulation that comes adhered to the back of my zip sheathing that I'm already putting up and installing, now I have continuous R value that I get the whole R6 or the R9 or R12, whatever it is. I don't see building any other way. It works for us. It can work for you. Make sure you go to huberwood.com and check them out. And Huber, thanks for sponsoring the podcast.
Hello, Unbuild It Podcast. We are live from the studio. Today's a real happy day. Why? I mean, we could talk about the guest that we have and how excited I am, but we were able to drop Jake from the agenda. So, happy day. It's me, my good buddy Peter Yost.
Hey.
And for those of you that don't know the man, the myth, the legend, yes, that is in fact Mark Willie sitting across the table.
Welcome, Mark.
Yeah, good to be here.
Always a pleasure, Mark. So let's start out with that same typical garbage question. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Mark.
A little bit about myself.
Yeah, let's keep it under 20 minutes too, will you?
There you go. So if you look at the Midwest, there's a center, and 20 minutes outside of Chicago, that's where I started my life.
Cool.
So that's the little bit. You want a little bit more?
A little bit more.
That was way under 20 minutes.
Let's get out of the maternity ward.
Sure. So I was raised by a preschool teacher, and my father ran a lumber yard. And I was kind of blessed because it's your kind of small town area where you're 2 blocks from a library.
Did that mean you get to run around the lumber yard as a child?
Oh, my gosh.
Cool.
That would be cool.
There was no fences.
I've never met a lumberyard child.
Oh, man.
That's pretty cool.
Like lumberyard, parsonage, one and the same.
No.
Kind
See, he's
of.
done it. He's already blown the parsonage.
Yeah. So
I try and
two
include
blocks
that in
the
every
other way
conversation.
was the church. And my mom's friend lived in the ex-parsonage.
The ex-parsonage.
Yeah, because they kind of got rid of those
I didn't even
things.
know there was such a thing.
Former, if you will.
Okay. Just trying to guide the discussion here.
You got it.
So, lumberyard. Dad was in charge. Mom, preschool teacher.
Yeah.
All right. So, what did that mean? Dad works in a lumberyard. What happened to Mr. Mark?
Exploratory, right? So you get home from work and you scoot over there and you get to see all the trucks get filled up and you get to go on rides if they're still going out. That's fun
neat.
time,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
There's no seatbelts in the passenger seat of a lumber truck. So you're fun hopping around as a little kid.
That's
And
great.
Train cars coming in and out. So what do? You make sure you don't get caught between them. And we got to play on.
So the lumberyard had railroad access.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Chicago, man.
Yeah. Well, that's true. Yeah.
It was fun until it burnt down.
Yikes.
And so that happened. And then we got to help deconstruct the lumberyard. That was not a word back then. But we got to get all the stuff we needed to get because you couldn't resell it. And that meant forts and ramps
Oh, nice.
and all that kind of good kid stuff.
Yeah.
So, get into the good stuff. So, you started out from the building industry. Your first day in the building industry, you were doing...
Oh, sweeping, picking up garbage, for sure. I was darn good with the broom.
This is like trying to extract 5 wisdom teeth.
It couldn't possibly be the interviewer.
You know what, though? It doesn't get much more than
hater.
that, right?
Such
You
a
have to
hater.
learn how to clean first. And
I
you're
was
young.
pretty happy that Jake wasn't here and you were.
Until a moment ago.
Those tides have turned. I can't.
He
believe-
wants you to swing a hammer or
I
something.
can't. I can't believe
better
I'm
move
begging
on.
for Jake to come back. That's hard to believe.
There you have
No,
it.
I want to hear about, because didn't you? You worked as a carpenter for a while,
Oh, absolutely.
right? But then he did some really interesting work south of the border.
Oh, you want me to skip to that?
Yeah, jump to that.
Sure. So
This is a family show, and we only have 30 minutes.
we're through high school, we're through college, and, everyone's trying to figure out where they're going to live after college and where they're going to go. And I already did. I moved to Mexico. So 2.5 hours south of Mexico City.
And it wasn't for the tacos or the surfing.
There's no surfing in Mexico City.
Or felony charges.
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
It was an orphanage, the largest orphanage in the world. And
Wow.
I lived with 1,000 kids.
No kidding.
Yeah. It was pretty impressive.
It's kind of how I feel in the building industry.
Working with 1,000 children, is that what you're saying?
Oh, wow. The synergies.
Yeah.
Uncanny.
No, there are. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
You're good.
So Mexico City, Mark Willie's in charge. All I see is like him standing in this playground with thousands of kids running around yelling, Mark, Mark, Mark.
Well, they would be saying Marcos.
Yeah, I was going to say
Marcos.
Marcos, yeah.
It was sustainable as it gets. You had corn, you had 300 hogs, you had 1,200 chickens, about 1,800 fish, and you had tortillas at every meal, rice and beans at every meal.
Were you working on buildings at all while you were down there?
I did that as well. I primarily raised help raise the children.
Yeah.
There's very few adults. And then we built a dormitory while
So
I
you
was
weren't
there.
like builder maintenance, you were orphanage counselor.
Oh, yeah. You woke the kids up. If they cried, you helped them out. If they needed to do chores, you inspired them.
And these are all ages?
Yeah, with it, birth until forever. There's no cutoff age. You could stay forever.
Wow.
I wonder if I could go down there and sign up. Take a break.
Yeah.
mentally.
As a fairly large child, I think you'd qualify.
Could have somebody hold me while I cry myself to sleep every night.
Just have Holly sign the paper and you're good.
But so that's mostly masonry buildings down there.
So we had, it was concrete and rebar, and there's 120 people mixing concrete and about 800 of us carrying buckets.
Yeah. Mason tenders, basically, right?
It was uncanny.
Talk about bucket brigade. That's literally a brigade.
When we decided to pour the slab, that went quick. When we did the first floor concrete, then you had to go up, 16 feet to get to that. And then when we did the roof, that was another 18 feet.
Whoa.
And it had to be poured in one day. We started at 3 a.m. and we finished at 3 a.m.
Oh, my word. And that's not 24 hours of pencil pushing. That's 24 hours of
Carrying buckets.
pushing slurry.
Yep.
Wow.
Child labor. Those kind of factors were all in. But the
Yeah,
guys,
I can't imagine like the bucket. You can carry that much concrete in a bucket because
Yeah.
it'll wear you out.
you could almost have a full 5-gallon bucket, but by the end of the day, you were struggling to walk up those ramps.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
for
was a real
sure.
deal. And then you had a bunch of guys chipping stones for all the cornerstones. The priest was a Catholic priest, and he was of Irish ancestry, and so he had all of the different signs from different churches around the world chipped into the stone, and we added them into the
That's
cornerstone.
pretty cool.
So how many years did you do this?
2.5.
And then where do we go? We leave Mexico City and go to
Chicago.
Chicago, of course. Why not? I
Yep.
mean, where else do you go from Mexico City, right?
Skip right to it.
What do you do in Chicago?
I started working for a graphics company.
I
Yep.
can see where the orphanage links to that.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just what happened. And I traveled the world for about 10 years working for them, getting on airplanes, if you will.
Really?
Yep.
Mark has this no plane rule now.
Oh.
Yeah, no fly zone.
He's no fly zone. We won't ask him why. We won't extract that from him.
Well, let's just preface this with we were driving to Jake's office today,
Yeah.
and when we got talking about Mark Willie, do you know what he said?
Great guy.
He said,
did
one
say
of the
that.
nicest guys I know is Mark Willie. So you come with some pretty high bars here, my friend.
Love that.
So, graphics. We move out of graphics to let's get to the building industry part.
Right. So while I was doing graphics, I was renovating buildings, and so
Who was the carpenter that was in Chicago that building science used to work with? That he did a lot of those like brick mass buildings. Joe worked with him for years on how to insulate them properly. And
a building science carpenter guy.
well, it was a carpenter that hired Building Science Corporation to come there.
Huh.
I can't remember the guy's name.
I didn't work on that project, I don't think. I don't remember anybody from Chicago that was a remodeler.
I remember just drawing the details for brick mass walls and stuff.
Love
Were
to see those
the
details.
buildings you're working on mainly like big buildings, little buildings?
4 flats and 6 flat brick buildings, and we converted about 100 of them to Section 8 housing. And that was just so busy that I stopped traveling around and just worked on the buildings full time.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you do that, and then what?
While I was doing that, I started experimenting in the green world. So that would have been, I don't know what year, I would guess late 90s, early 2000s. And that people had the bamboos and the no VOC paints, and it was kind of they were hard to come by.
Weren't you on? I remember you saying when you worked at the place in Brattleboro,
Building Green.
Building Green, that they're on their question or their website. The 2 top questions: one, what is sustainability? The second was about bamboo floors.
Yeah, the second highest search single item was bamboo flooring.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
As if you can put a bamboo flooring in, that's going to be a green building.
Trying to figure out our culture is.
I was convinced it was green too. Lo and behold, it was full of toxic glues and this, that, and the other, peppered with a nice coat of stain.
Well, all natural to like the pandas. It's good stuff.
Yeah, it's good grass.
Everything that happens after that. That's the problem.
That would do it.
Okay. So
There was
in the green world.
Yeah, there was a little chain called Green Depot. It sprung up out of New York. And we were part of that group. And
So you were like the Chicago office of Green Depot?
yeah, they basically they took all the green stores around the country and they bought them all at once.
Huh.
And in about a year and a half, they lost the whole kit and caboodle. Because by that time, plywoods and paints had shifted to box stores. You no longer needed a specialty store. It went away. So we even, all the way back then, we had the distributorship for Rockwool, which was Roxel. It had the polar bear on it back then. And Ultra Touch, the denim insulation.
I remember the Klondike bars had the polar bear on it, but I don't remember.
You couldn't put those in your walls for very long.
Not very long.
Although maybe that foil is a radiant barrier.
The foil you could use as a radiant barrier. But
What's the R value of chocolate and fake ice cream?
All right. So I'm trying to get to the good stuff.
Yeah.
Right now.
This is great stuff. I didn't know any of this stuff about Mark.
So it was shortly after that I hooked up with 475 for a brief stint.
Oh, I didn't
And
know you worked with him for a while. Yeah.
I was like, it was Ken and Flores,
Yeah.
a gal in the back.
They were just 125 back then.
Yeah, they weren't even to the double digits, I think. I think we were like 98s.
98.
The old 96ers, they
Now
call
they
them.
grew up 475.
Yep. And I went to Wisconsin. You might remember this.
Sorry for that.
You and I met in Wisconsin. Yeah.
Better building, better business.
Yep. Great conference.
And I was like, this is the Mecca. I thought it was like the holy land of construction.
Steve's been to B4.
Yep.
I don't think Jake's ever been there. We're going to have to get him over to B4.
Well, they're not really doing it anymore. But
Yeah. They were trying to do a version of it this year.
What I liked is it was at the Kalahari Resort.
that's right.
So at night, I could go into the Jungle Safari water park and play.
And play. Yeah.
That's
Did you wear that hat and those
No.
glasses when you went
I
into the
was not
Kalahari?
incognito.
You
back
weren't
then.
incognito.
When you go down the slide, they force you to say cowabunga or you're not allowed back
You're
on.
not allowed to back. Right? It's an
amazing rule.
Cowabunga.
I have this image in my head of Steve going down the slide saying Kawabunga.
Cowabunga.
That's
Yeah.
going to stick with me for a while.
And you want to make sure the
Sorry.
water's on when you go down the slide.
I'm sorry for that.
I'm going to remember that.
Scarring.
But the conferences are great. I mean, we've both met a lot of people that have sustained friendships over the years, and it's really cool because even like this year, you go to IBS, and I'm running into people that I've known for 25 years that I've met at a conference. And sometimes for some of them, I only get to see them once a year at IBS or wherever. And but yeah, I like the scale of the B4 conference. A lot of people had their heart in it, but it wasn't this mega conference. It was maybe 800 people, 900 people.
Yeah, right in that
something
range.
Like that.
And you have the magic of John Viner.
The magic of John.
It's funny you should bring John up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he's moved on. He doesn't work with Slipstream anymore.
He's running an orphanage in Mexico City.
I'll be right behind him. Wherever John goes is probably a good place to follow.
He's an amazing guy.
Yep.
He's the oldest of 12 children. Yeah, because I'm number 9 out of 11, and we went on a trip together, and John held the record. He was the oldest of 12. Because Ross DiPaolo, do you know Ross DiPaolo?
I don't know
He's a
Ross.
window guy from Wisconsin.
Ross DiPaolo, the window guy.
Yeah. I knew it'd strike a chord with you.
John's also very good at ping pong.
Yeah, he is.
Listen,
More than just good.
I played Forrest Gump and beat him in ping pong.
And that's all I have to say about that.
And that's all I have to say about that.
You do realize this is like public information, and we're recording.
That's okay.
And Forrest Gump isn't even a person.
You beat somebody who's not even a person.
So many people.
Wow, you're amazing.
So many people just try to bring me down. I can't. What's that? You can't soar like an eagle when you fly with turkeys or something. Isn't that how that goes?
Si no sabes volar, no te pones con las águilas.
Geez.
That's what they say.
He's throwing Latin or something at me now.
Latin.
What is that?
Oh man,
That's about what you just said. If you don't know how to fly, don't hang with the eagles.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless you like good music.
Okay. I want to soar. I want to be free, and you guys just don't let me.
It's funny when I think of the word soar and you, it's not SOAR, Steve.
Obviously, you've never been to Disney and saw the preview of the ride Soaring, because it's me sitting in the chair, like freedom.
Saying Kawabunga?
I didn't say cowabunga.
At least there's a thread there.
Speaking of Disney, did you ever see that one thing that spins around? It's kind of like the Life of the Future or the House of the Future guy.
Yeah.
Spooky as can be.
Huh.
This guy just turns around, and every 10 years, it's a different version of him and his family. I sat next to my grandma, and she goes, "How do they sit so still?"
Don't worry, Grandma, you'll be there soon.
That's how you sit still.
That's how you sit still. All right. So we're through the Green Depot,
Through the Green Depot.
through home 475.
Yeah.
Small stint. You left 475 and you became.
That's when full-on woodwork, full-on metalwork, full-on construction. That was nonstop.
Was that for yourself? Were you?
It's with there's a couple different groups. I did it with my buddy Fred for a few years and Chris.
More of this it depends crap.
That depends. And then I did it with a guy named Mick.
Mick.
And we had a great time.
Mick from Chicago?
Mick from Chicago.
Don't know.
And whenever we walked into a room together, they
play
looked
ping
at
pong?
me and they thought I was Mick. It was always confusing. And we have the same initials too.
So what kind of work
If
were
I
you doing for that?
I'd go on the road as a ZZ Top lookalike.
ZZ Top. And
Just need the spinning guitar, or you're all set.
oh man, you don't want to see me with a guitar. That's not for me. You don't even want to see me with a microphone.
Unfortunately, I have to right now.
So tell us about the work you did with Mick and.
We didn't do not the passive house stuff. We just did high performance. Mm-hmm. So we would just take the buildings and build out the insulation the best we could for the most part. Obviously, we were focused on the looks because we wanted to sell them and move on to the next. Mm-hmm. But we still did the red door of truth all the time.
Red door of truth.
Oh, you've never heard of it?
I never heard that expression before. That's embarrassing.
Okay, yeah, it is.
It's written right there.
I can't believe you don't know. Red door of truth.
Yeah, we always call it that.
That's funny. I never heard that expression.
I've heard that all the time.
Yeah.
It's a lot like channery. I'm learning all kinds of stuff.
Channery?
Channery.
Got it.
Yeah, you missed
Too much of a tangent.
Yeah. So the red door of truth, we think it's just a beautiful tool. So we enjoy doing that, and that brought more attention to the projects. And it was just fun work. We self-performed all the work, which was really great. And I can't say I've done anything more exciting than that. They were awesome projects to be a part of.
So
Red door of truth is the...
But how did you pull it into that type of construction? Through a conference where you saw blower door being used, or a state program, or
this is when the blower doors were the wind-up kind.
It was a pull string first.
Okay.
But the strings broke, so they had to they hooked them up to a power cord later on, and that got them moving. So because of the time at the green stores doing all that, we were already interested in performance, and there was a place called the Center for Green Technology, and there was free courses.
Yeah, boy, that sounds familiar. Is that based out of Chicago?
It was. It was on Sacramento and Lake Street. Doug Farr was a part of it.
Oh,
and,
Doug Farr.
Doug, back in the day. So it was just normal rhetoric. And people were often in that group, they would look for builders to do the blower doors for free because they had invested the time into getting the equipment, but they didn't have people to try it out on. And so since we were connected with these folks, I didn't have to pay for the blower door. I'm like, yeah, come do it here. Well, then come to find out, then they wanted to do it like every single week, and it got a little annoying because you have a schedule to keep. But
they wanted you to do the blower door work for free.
Well, we didn't have to pay for them, but then when they had other people that wanted to learn about it, then they came back to our job, and they kept doing it. So then we had to say, no, wait for the schedule. Yeah. So we did pretty good. We typically got sub 1 before we insulated, and we're pretty happy with that. All local vinyl double hung windows too.
So 1 ACH 50 as a target,
50.
which is pretty bloody good.
Yep.
I mean, the Building America program back in the 2000s when you and I were working together, that was probably in the 2 range. Yeah. 1.25 maybe is the lowest, but that's pretty good.
Well, because of our building codes too, a lot of times we had to do the drywall on the outside. And so I wasn't using the tapes and membranes, but I had the drywall and I had the large 4x10 sheets of hardy. They were sealed up.
Yeah.
Flashing the windows. All my guys were roofers, so I didn't have to worry about water or anything. They were already on it.
Very cool.
All right. So you go from that to?
I did that for quite a spell, and it was from there that I transitioned back into the materials business when I jumped in with U.S. Engineered Wood.
There you go. Better known as?
T-Stud.
The T-Stud.
Yeah.
For those of you, we have this wonderful display by Jake Bruton behind me. Look at the T-Stud.
It's pretty sexy.
For those of you that are only listening, you have to go on our YouTube channel now and subscribe if you want to see the T-Stud. So Steve Bazek bringing you the T-Stud live, yours for $9.99. You can order 1 8-foot T-Stud. You can have it in your house. You can have thermal break performance live in your wall frame.
So how did you hook up with T-Stud? What was the first
We had
connection?
heard about them years beforehand. When you're in the green business, it's small, right? Especially back then. And they had the R19 product, which was 2x3s and foam. At that time, I was really not into foam. And so I enjoyed meeting the owner, but didn't like the product. And we still got along. And I said, hey, you ever get rid of that foam? Let's talk. And then come to find out they wanted to get rid of the foam, and I joined up. And we went to trade shows together for a few years, and then I did it full time after that.
So in terms of T-studs then, that's all kinds of applications, but also that's the thermal brake that's the key sort of part of
I would say that's
the system?
That's the leader, and then the other things are ancillary. But its main role, the T stands for thermal, right? And so that's their big claim to fame, and it works great.
So what's the sort of trajectory do you think for T-stud? It's certainly got a lot of exposure across the country. Are there kind of hot pockets?
Minnesota and Texas are the hot pockets and the cold pockets.
Nice.
For that same,
nice,
right? If you can see Peter's eyes right now, he's happy. So for the most part,
are you stroking me?
I'm telling you the truth. For the most part, you're competing with 2x6 and 2x8 market, which has hundreds of mills in North America. So as the popularity of the product grows, then so will the ability to manufacture it in other areas. So the supply and demand is going to grow about the same pace.
So is it currently being manufactured primarily at the single plant?
It is.
Yeah. So distribution is, rail or truck or until you get to the critical point, you can open up more plants, basically.
Right. We were in Canada during the coronavirus. We had to move to the States, and then we just picked Iowa because there was a big workforce and there was a really good deal on the property, and that gives us the north, south, east, west I-80 route through the country.
Yeah. It's the centroid of the United States.
There you go.
That's your geometry lesson for the day is
That's what I bring to the table.
Cool.
I simplify it, break it down. But so I know we're probably running into time here, but this is the best part of the life of Mark Willie. So yes, he works for T-Stud, but I'm hard pressed to think of somebody that works harder to benefit the industry than Mark. And I say that with the utmost respect for how much time you put in with just simply for the good of the industry. There's, take a moment and rattle off to us, right? You got Passive House Accelerator, Passive House, 2050 Project. I mean, you are a chef in about, 20 kitchens.
So
trying to stir the pot.
You've been on the show. Jake's been on the show. I've sent Peter lots of messages on Instagram to be on the show.
Peter Yost does not exist on social media. Well, he does exist. He just doesn't exist on social media.
So for about 2 years now, we've been live every Friday for an hour and a half on.
And that's with Dave Cooper.
Dave Cooper
live on Friday mornings.
Yep, BS Friday, and then
and that's Building Science Friday, just in
definitely.
Case. So not what you were thinking, Peter.
Then I wanted to do something in the evenings, and I had been attending the Passive House Accelerator, and they were predominantly a designer and architect-based group. And I said, we have to do something for contractors.
Nice.
So invented construction tech, along with Kevin Brennan, Sean St. Amour, and later Shannon Pendleton. And we've been doing that for just over 18 months.
Very cool.
And then I work with Offsite Dirt to help the modular industry grow. And that's
Offsite
Dirt. I just like the name.
Dirt.
Who cares what they do? What a cool name. Oh, yeah, I work for Offsite Dirt.
So
that's very cool.
You understand the word dirt in this place, right? So
pretty much, yeah. I have a degree in agronomy, so that helps.
It's not quite a channery, but
is that the art of putting peanuts and raisins and M&Ms together?
Sort of like Gorb?
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Okay, it's not. Well, close though.
Yeah.
So Offsite Dirt is giving you the dirt on the offsite industry. It's pretty simple like that, and so I'm in every other episode. It's not
ground.
What a
dirt.
Cool name.
This is the skinny thing.
Yeah.
This is the dirt.
Oh, that is so cool.
Yep. And at IBS, you guys probably saw that awesome magazine that came out, Offsite Builder. I know you saw it.
Oh, yeah. Right? Oh, yeah. No, I did. I sat down and read it a couple times.
Well, I wrote an article in there about this project.
I like the article. What was it about?
Somewhere in Texas.
Somewhere in Texas. That's right. I like that article. That was great. Great article. Good job.
Great name for an organization, Offsite Dirt, but coupled with that title,
yeah,
I have to read it now.
So, though that one's Offsite Builder. So I do Offsite Dirt and Offsite Builder.
Yeah,
so
but the title of that article in Offsite Builder started with
Somewhere in Texas.
Somewhere in Texas. Man, that's just got intrigue all over.
I wonder where he got that from.
That was kind of coming off of a Missouri trip, actually.
Yeah. Anyways, long story.
Long story there. But the article is about an off-grid project that's light impact to the surrounding area. Stephen went and visited the project. It's all solar panels. There's no electric on site at all.
Cool.
Even the job office is solar powered.
So the welder, everything runs off of
the welding operation. Holy smokes.
It's really cool.
Yeah. You got to see this to believe it.
Yeah. It's about an hour and a half from Austin. In fact, the World of Modular is at San Antonio this year.
I actually had lunch there, just so you know.
Good brisket?
Guys, no. We had sausages and cheeseburgers with the two carpenters. They were cooking lunch while I was there, so I joined in.
He remembers all the details about meals.
Yeah, was there mustard or was it a fake sandwich?
I wouldn't put mustard on.
Oh, you have to.
No, I hate mustard. I don't have to do anything.
Well, hate's a pretty strong word.
It is.
It's just a
I
condiment.
hate mustard, though, but that's when I feel that strong about something, I use the word hate. So I hate mustard.
What about stone ground? Good German mustard.
I hate mustard. All kinds of mustard.
Stop digging with him.
You got to get out more.
Got to get out more. I got to be more worldly, Jake says.
Well, Mark, I just learned a crap ton more about your work. It's very cool.
It's great to be here.
And getting praise from him is not easy.
It's like blood from a stone, my dad used to say.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
Oh, is that what he said?
Yeah. He said getting anything beneficial out of you, it's like getting blood from a stone.
I thought his famous saying was, if you're not first, you're last.
Yeah. No, he used to say, he said, you know what number 2 is? It's the first loser.
And on that note,
hey, Mark, what kind of shirt? What is that?
Well, build it right, build it tight.
there you go.
No, get it right, build it tight.
And
it's hard to read.
That's Siga, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so just hold on before we
Stick with us, man.
Jake Bruton's famous materials counter here.
Oh, look at that.
We got props. We got Siga props.
Most people don't know what that is. That's a scaffolding
rule.
for Lego
You know, what's
characters.
interesting is not only is it a folding rule with Siga and the Red Cross sponsorship, it's metric.
Oh, yeah. So it doesn't have a IP side?
No.
It's only metric.
So every 12 dashes is an inch? That's how it works?
I think so. I don't know.
12 dashes. I like that. That's very cool.
Divisible by 10, they
It
say.
looks cool standing behind me, but I'll put it right here for now.
Yeah, that's classic. I got a lot of Sega knives. I got Sega rollers. They make really good apparatuses.
All right.
Good tapes, too.
So, Mark, as we close this out, how do we find you?
LinkedIn is a good place.
LinkedIn is a good place.
So
And it's just not Mark Willie.
it isn't.
Talk to me. What is it?
So I use a different handle for all platforms.
Of course you do.
So on LinkedIn, it's Mark Build Small Casitas Willie, because my parents' middle name wasn't the one I wanted, so I changed it to Build Small Casitas. And on Instagram, it's simple. It's Willie Woodwork.
There you go. Do you know what Instagram is? No, we won't go there. And on Fridays you do the Dave Cooper Live. When is the accelerator and all that? You're gone Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays?
Every Wednesday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific.
Got it.
Yep. And nice to be here with you folks. Thanks.
Thanks for coming over, Mark.
This was awesome. We got to talk to Mark Willie, and I didn't have to talk to Jake today. It's like a win-win.
Although he's standing right behind you, so be careful.
That's all right.
And so how do people like us more, or do they punch us, or what? How does that work?
You got to hit that subscribe
Oh,
button.
hit the subscribe button. That's it. Okay, got it.
Subscribe button. So if you're listening to us through Spotify or one of those audio channels, you do know we are live. So you can see me do this and that and more of this.
Note to self, don't end podcasts with hand waving.
Why didn't you tell them? See, now they don't have a reason to go to YouTube.
Because it was note to
He
self.
knows
It wasn't
nothing-
for everyone
He knows
else.
nothing about marketing. Like, the whole idea is to instill the intrigue that you have to then search out
I'm sorry,
via
grandfather.
marketing. It's like flying with turkeys, man. I tell you. I tell you. Every day. Every day. All right. Mark Willie, thanks for joining. Pete, always a pleasure.
Great to be here.
Steve Bazek.
Thanks, Mark.
I'm signing off from the Unbuild It Podcast.